Choice Hotels get you more of what you value. Here's a little tune to help you remember. Same drive, different day. Don't you wish you were getting away? Pack your bags and come on through. Texas, Ohio, Alaska, we're up there too. Comfort Inn, it's calling your name. Save on the stay. Oh, and free waffles are yours to claim. Well, I hope you like my little song. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
Stitch Fix. Stop shopping, get styled.
A+ on the outfit, Miss Turner. You are about to slay parent-teacher conferences.
Oh, these? Just the most perfect fitting jeans my stylist sent me.
Oh, hello, you, who didn't set one foot in a mall and still looks amazing.
Just share your size, style, and budget, and your stylist sends personalized looks right to your door. Stitch Fix. Get started today at stitchfix.com.
To my stylist.
This look is dedicated to you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so we're back with Alison Duiker and talking about her mother's crazy case and how we've been tracking this whole time. And we have someone who we've been talking about in the podcast, and we're so happy to have him on. He's joining us from his phone, and it's Aaron, her brother. Hey, Aaron, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
Thank you so much for coming on, Aaron. I know this has got to be a very emotional topic for you, but we're really appreciative. We would love to hear what it's been like for you and how this case has evolved, and what do you think about what's happening now? I mean, there's so many components to this case. It's overwhelming for even us as the viewers here.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, as we've been talking to Alison about your mother's case and your family's experience, it's been really hard to listen to, and the fact that both of you guys have overcome this crazy family history, and we've already met some of your uncles. We're gonna meet some other family members soon in the future. So we wanted to get everybody's perspective but you and your sister were there at ground zero. So we really appreciate you coming on. I know it's not easy talking about this stuff, but one of the main reasons we do these podcasts with all the victims' families is because there's so many victims' families out there, and a lot of them, like yourself, and don't really know how to react to this. And so by doing this podcast, it kind of gives people a blueprint and let people know that they're not alone, that they're not the only victims out there. And so it's really interesting, and it's helpful, I think, for all our listeners. And we get a lot of feedback from this, that when they hear your story, it helps them become stronger and being able to overcome these things. So, and we hope that that's the case with you. And I know it's hard, but we really appreciate you sharing your time with us and sharing your story.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So why don't we start off, because Alison has filled in a lot of the blanks here as far as this story, but I wanted to kind of talk to you, and we both wanted to talk to you about, obviously you were very young, and I don't know how much you remember from that time, but probably afterwards you probably remember a lot more, because you were with your father a lot longer than your sister was. So can you kind of just give us like a thumbnail sketch of what you do remember and where it starts?
Well, I don't have any memory really of any of that time frame. My earliest memories are probably would have been the next place we lived after that, which was in Erie. I think it was like 26th Street or something like that. And that was when I was 4. So, that would have been about a year after everything happened. So, not too much of any memory whatsoever around that time frame, unfortunately.
So you don't remember your mother at all?
No, I have no graphic visual memory of her at all.
Wow.
Sorry.
Wow. So why don't you start off from what clear memories you have? I would imagine you probably didn't start until probably like 6 or 7 years of age.
Well, my earliest memories go back to when I was probably about 4, like I said, but of course, that was after she was gone, and he was already with another woman, I think about a year after that. So uh, that's the apartment we lived in. Those are my earliest memories.
What was your father saying about your mom? Do you remember? Did he talk about her? Did he say anything about what happened to her?
Not that I remember around that time frame at all, but I do recall at least twice that he would, when he would get angry enough, he would ask me if I thought he killed his mother. If I thought he killed my mother, and it
Just
would just come up out of nowhere, out of anger from him. Nothing to do with anything, but he would just bring it up out of the blue. And I remember that at least 2 times, probably, 3 or 4 maybe altogether. But when he got angry enough, that came out.
What do you remember how old you were the first time you heard that?
It would probably have been maybe when I was 8 to 10-ish, I would say, somewhere around there.
Oh my God. I can't even imagine what you must have thought hearing that come out of your dad's mouth. Do you recall any kind of memory of what your reaction was to that?
Well, knowing my father and trying to avoid a beating, I had to answer a certain way to that, always. And I had to tell him, no, I don't think you did it. That was for my own safety. I knew how to answer that one.
Well, obviously you wouldn't have said this to him, but what did you think inside? Did you think that he might have done something to your mother or killed your mother?
Yeah, I think it would probably have been about that same time frame. Maybe 9 or 10 years old was probably when I first started thinking that he probably did do it.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Aaron. That is a huge burden for a child. I can't even imagine how you felt. It's heartbreaking to think.
Yeah, and I don't recall my sister and I talking about it. I don't remember if we did it all, but that wasn't something that I really shared with anybody or talked to about that subject with anybody, really. So yeah, that just all a lot of stuff like that just stayed inside.
Allison, did he ever say that to you? Did he ever, when he get mad, did he ever ask you that too?
So I don't remember him like point blank asking me as if he wanted a response from me. For me, I remember it was more like a twisted comment when he would talk about her. Like he had this newspaper clipping of a beach in Florida, and he said, "Your mother's there. You want to go there? You want to be with her?" Like he would kind of taunt me with it. I don't remember him actually point blank asking where he wanted a response, but just like Aaron, I knew how to answer, even though I never believed that. And I always refer to it like it was like a swear word. You just knew, like Aaron said, like we never had conversations. Even in his absence, we did not talk about it. Like we never had conversations about my mother.
Wait a second.
Aaron, you said something really disturbing, that he used to hit you all the time. So I'm sure you were terrified of him. How long did you live with him?
Well, like my sister, it was kind of bouncing around from place to place. Anywhere he could pawn me off was fine by him. And then I was a bit of a troublemaker in my younger days, and I usually ended up back there because whoever I was with didn't want to deal with me. And lack of good parenting was a big part of why I was a bad kid. I was free to do whatever I wanted. He worked third shift or whatever shift he worked. He was either working or sleeping mostly, and he had his own kind of social life. He was in the volunteer firefighter group in Waterford there for quite a while. So, anytime there was a call, he would just go, and I'd be home alone, free to do whatever I want. And that can, as you can imagine, can lead to bad things.
Well,
Not
sure.
like you had any role models.
Well, that's the thing. You didn't have any role models. You didn't have any discipline. So, and it's also rebellion because you're angry. I'm sure you were very, very angry about the situation that you're in. I'm so sorry. It builds resilience and it builds fortitude, unlike anything any of us could understand if we weren't in that position. Just hearing in your voice that you are a survivor of all of this, it's inspiring because you and Alison have been through something that I can't even imagine. You just can't imagine that these things happen, but they do.
If I can interrupt,
sure.
Aaron and I really haven't had a whole lot of discussion, even to this day, about this. And now that this topic came up, I've got to ask you, Aaron, throughout his whole life, he was like a volunteer fireman. Do you feel like he did those types of volunteer type things, like in his mind, like penance, like he was making up for bad behavior? I couldn't understand why he was attracted to something like that.
Well, I think he enjoyed it, for one thing. And I think he did like being social and being around people. And he was very good at making people think he was a different person than the real person he is, for
Absolutely.
sure.
So he had a switch.
I don't think it was it was always a show. He knew how to put on a show for people, and he knew how to make people think he was this funny guy, this jokester, this guy that'll help you do anything, help you build stuff, fix your car. He was all about all kinds of stuff like that. But all around, he was not a good person, but he didn't want people seeing the bad sides of him.
And that's very, very. We work with a criminal forensic psychologist who goes into cages with serial killers, and that trait that you just described is very common, where they like to pretend that they're, it's part of the narcissistic personality disorder. They need to have that adoration from other people to kind of fill them up, almost like a vampire does. But yet, in the dark, in the shadows, at home with the people that know him best, that mask comes off usually, and unfortunately, the children are the ones that we've seen suffer the most because you're vulnerable. You were vulnerable. You're a child. Like, how would you know what's going on? The fact that he was holding over the idea that he killed your mother is terrifying in and of itself. So, Alison, it's interesting that you said that you guys haven't really talked about this. So please feel free. Ask Aaron questions that you haven't asked him before, because I think it's really interesting to have both of you have your perspectives.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely a different, from time to time about case updates, we've talked about it, but I don't know that we've really talked about stuff. What did he tell you, Aaron? So I got dropped off. I'm fast forwarding a little bit, but he dropped me off at a police station, said he didn't want me anymore. Did he just tell you that that I was just bad and he had to get rid of me, or what did he even say?
Yeah, that's pretty much what he stuck to.
Let's let them know that it was actually your birthday that day.
Yeah, bad things happen on my birthday.
Oh, so that was your birthday, and that was the day that your father took your sister to the police station, left her there, and then told you, Aaron, that it was because she was bad?
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah, that's what he told everybody. That she was bad, and he couldn't deal with her anymore, and he was done with her, and that was it. And he didn't have much explanation for it other than she's just bad.
That must have been terrifying for you, Aaron, because now you're alone, and then you're probably thinking, if I do something bad, I'm going to get taken to the police station as well.
Yeah, well, it was always there. I knew at any time I could be in a different living situation, because it happened, quite a number of times anyways. So it wasn't really all that out of the ordinary for something like that to be happening. Out of the blue, he could just take, when we lived, all three of us, he could just take us somewhere and, okay, you're living here for a while. Or he would have a girlfriend and we would go live with her for a summer and we barely know her. when who was it? Cherie, I think her name was, in New York. We went to a completely different state, didn't know this lady, and he just kind of dropped us off there. And we stayed the whole summer there.
Wow.
So the both of you really needed to learn how to adapt very quickly.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Aaron, what was your high school years like then? Because Alison was lucky enough to be with her teacher and their family for that time period, which I think was really grounding and really, really a blessing. So what were you doing during high school?
Well, I was a smart kid and I was fully capable of getting good grades and
You are a smart
doing well, I'm not a kid anymore.
Sure.
It was just my behavior and my lack of honestly a lot of life skills that people would have learned by the time I was whatever age, you know. I just didn't really have them. I wasn't taught a lot of things, and a lot of things I was smart enough to just know, but I never really had anybody teaching me the right ways to do things and whatnot. So, and like I said before, and it was still going on in high school, and especially without Allison there to keep me in on the right path or anything. And you know, he would be gone, and I could just go do whatever I wanted, and homework or go do whatever I want was I always picked on go do whatever I want. So homework was a little bit of an issue, but ultimately behavior was my worst enemy, kind of, that ended up getting expelled from school and having to go get my GED instead of graduating, and hung around a lot
You
of.
learned the most important lesson, and that was how to survive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. I mean, you can't, no one would have done anything differently in that position. Aaron, you were a little boy who had no family structure, had no discipline, had no parenting. You were basically on your own from the time you were 3. And your father is a terrifying individual who is holding over your head that he possibly killed your mother. I mean, you're lucky that you're alive, to be honest.
The life of me don't understand why he would bring something like that up.
Right.
Like to a child.
Maybe he wanted to know what I felt. That I don't know why he would think I would be honest with him all about that. Right. I mean, maybe he just already knew how I would answer and needed to hear it. I'm not real sure on that one, but like I said, it was out of.
I think he needed to hear it from himself. I think he needed to hear it from himself, because if he hears it from you, then it would put him at ease. It's almost like he's convincing himself.
Yeah, could be.
I think he just liked to mind screw with you too.
Yeah,
it was control.
Absolutely.
And it almost seems like he feels that he was justified in doing it as well. He tries to badmouth her and say that she was a bad person and no good, and kind of the way he dropped Allison off at the police station, just, oh, she's bad, she's no good. And it seems like he feels justified in killing her because, oh, she was a bad person.
Aaron, you know what is this stark realization? You know how he used to always say, you're garbage, like, oh, she's garbage, you're garbage. When we heard the confession and we heard that he literally put her in a dumpster, for me, that was like this trigger of like, oh my gosh, he used to call me garbage. Like, did you ever have a connection, like something that he said, now that you know the truth? Was there anything that you were like, oh my gosh?
Not really, but I'm sure he would take me sometimes on trips. He loved to, travel a little bit, not real far, but travel around. And a bunch of times we ended up in Meadville or Sagertown, and and I can't remember everything, but I'm sure he's probably taken me to that country fair, and we probably went in and grabbed something to drink, or he got gas there, or something. I'm pretty sure we would have
Absolutely.
ended up there at one point, and the whole time he's thinking about that, and I have no clue.
Can you just, Alison, tell us a little bit about what Aaron's talking about, so people who might not understand what the country fair signifies?
So he confessed that the night that he strangled her, he drove to a nearby country fair, which is like a convenience store that is also a gas station. And he said in the middle of the night when, it wasn't open, it's a country, so it's in the country, so they're not open 24 hours. And he said that he drove behind the country fair, that convenience store, and that he threw her in the dumpster. And it was a blizzard that night, so most likely she was covered in snow before anyone came back out, and they would have never seen anything.
So he was going back to the scene of the crime with Aaron, the little boy, and this has happened. We saw this with the Green River Killer. He used to take his son to the scene of the crime. We've seen this with several other serial killers. We've seen this with a lot of people. So it's a complete.
It's not like she was there though. So like, why? What would be his point?
It's control. It's a memory. It's like a token, but it's also control over Aaron. Like, here, I know the secret. I have you. You're in a vulnerable position. Like, it gives them some sense of power. And I'm going to have Laura Brand, our forensic criminologist, come on and talk with you about this stuff, because I think it's important to understand the psychology a little bit behind it, because this is a pattern. I've seen this before, and it's very disturbing. And Aaron, you have to give yourself credit for being a really strong, resilient human being, and with an amazing spirit, regardless of whatever antics you got into as a kid or whatever happened. It doesn't matter. I mean, you survived, and this is a lot of people would never have survived this.
No.
And this is tragic, what you both have been through. So I want to talk a bit about the confession a little bit, and understand where Aaron was at that point in his life. Or Alison, when you started investigating this, Aaron, what were you doing at that time, or were you involved in that process?
Before we do that, can I ask one question before we go there? So Aaron had a lot of time with my father, and there were times that Aaron had talked about stories that I had heard from Aaron, that my father actually strangled him. Will you tell that story, Aaron, with Marie?
This was another one of my birthdays.
Wow.
On my 17th birthday, my 12th birthday was the Alison getting dropped off at the police station. My 17th birthday, don't remember what the argument was about. Don't remember why we were arguing or anything, but Marie was over. We were at the apartment in Waterford, and he ended up with his hands around my neck and had me up against the wall. And Marie was, grabbing his arm, trying to get him off of me and telling him to stop. And if it weren't for Marie, I might have ended up in a dumpster too.
Wow.
Oh, Aaron, I'm so sorry. Who's Marie?
Marie was his girlfriend at the time?
Yes. And she was an on and off girlfriend for years and years. Probably 12 years, if I would guess, maybe 11 years at that point when I was 17, that story. And off and on. So, and there was a time where I think he had his hands around her neck as well. Not that I witnessed it, but Marie went to our aunt, which is my father's sister, her house, Laura Bible, and she was frantic and saying, he did it, I know he did it. And my Aunt Laura was very on my father's side about everything, that no, she's still alive somewhere, and she'll just show up one day. And she was very supportive of him, and I think pretty much the going rate for everybody on my father's side of the family was the same. And I honestly believe he had his hands around her neck, and that kind of made it click that, oh my God, he killed her by strangling her.
Wow.
I don't know that for sure, but there's a reason she went to my aunt's house, knowing that my aunt didn't like her, and going there anyway and saying, I know he did it. He did it. He did it. So.
And that was Marie who said that.
Right.
So she already knew about your father's past?
Yeah, she knew. I'm sure she didn't know everything, but she definitely knew about the incident that my mother was, missing, because, it wasn't that she was murdered back then. It was she's missing. And, his story that she hopped in a tractor trailer and took off with another man was the story that the deaf community pretty much believed, in my opinion. I can't speak for them all, but that was the story, and he stuck to it. And I think most everybody believed it. Was
Marie deaf as well?
Yes.
Okay. So that's even crazier. The fact that, she would have had to hear, or someone would have told her, not only that your mother was missing, but that she probably would heard the rumors that he possibly could have done it at the same time. So that's kind of a strange thing to have in the back of your mind if you're spending time with someone romantically and having a relationship with them, and then actually take it to the next level when she actually, because I'm sure wasn't the first outburst that she saw.
No, she definitely saw his violent side plenty of times, especially with me anyway. And I don't recall him getting violent with her that I saw, but I'm sure he did.
She actually sent me a letter. I don't know if you knew that. She wrote me a letter when I was teaching, and she sent it to. So I went to China for a summer to teach English, and it was in the paper, and the paper said what school I was working for. So she sent a letter to the school, to me, asking to talk to me, saying that she had information. And I was kind of like, well, how can I not listen to her? But I want no part of her. I don't want any part of any of this. Did I tell you this, Aaron? Did you know this part?
If you did, I just don't recall.
I'm not sure if I did. But so I connected with the police, and I said, I'm not talking to this woman by myself. So they brought her to the police station. They had, do you remember Bonnie, Aaron, the interpreter?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure Bonnie was the interpreter, and they had Marie come, and Marie basically said, he did it. He's an awful man. He's evil, but never gave specific details. They'd ask, how do you know this? Did he tell you this? And she's like, he hurts me, and, stuff like that. But she never gave any details where they felt like they could do anything with it. So I found that very interesting, because I really believe that she stayed with him some of the time because she was afraid to leave. I mean, that he probably threatened her too.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
That could be.
They don't just do it once.
Right.
They don't just do it once.
And that's what he got in trouble for, just recently, was having his hands around his girlfriend's neck. That's what got him in this. I think that was what got this ball rolling to leading up to why he's in jail to this day. It messed everything up for him when he got out. He had nothing and nowhere to go and nobody to support him or help him. So he didn't have any option. I think that's why we got that confession, and I believe the confession. I think he was being honest for a change with this, and
because it was
I
what
didn't
he
think
needed.
It would ever happen. Yeah,
what he to get out of the confession. He wasn't confessing for us or anybody else who cared about Lonnie.
No, absolutely not.
So you think if he had a place to live and he had money in the bank and he was doing okay, he probably would have never confessed?
No, I don't think he would have. He'd have took it to the grave, and honestly,
Agreed.
that's what I thought he was going to do. Just the right circumstances all came into place, and we got some answers finally.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that, Aaron, when you heard that confession?
It was tough to even know how I felt. I was just kind of beside myself. I couldn't believe it. I didn't think it would ever happen. And then it finally happened. And I didn't know how to feel. And I couldn't probably express how I did feel.
Who told you first?
You called me, I believe. And
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was me or the police.
yeah, you called me and let me know.
You have one new message. Translating. Disney and Pixar's Hoppers is now available on Disney+.
You could say that again.
Critics are calling it Pixar's funniest movie ever and a wildly entertaining ride. Blizzard Potato. It's certified fresh and verified hot.
Now we party.
This is incredible!
Wow, I am clearing the rest of the day.
Disney and Pixar's Hoppers, now available on Disney+. Rated PG.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities, so do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Yeah. How do you feel about what your sister has done to try to come to terms with this and to investigate this and bring your father to justice? How has that been for you?
It's been great. She's worked so hard at this and spent so much time on this, and I admire her for it. She's already very busy in her life without any of this, and I can't imagine how she juggles it all, but she does a great job at it, and she must have some good people around her and supporting her as well. And I'm sure she's very thankful to them as well. But I'm down here in Florida, and
Right.
can't do a whole lot to help out. But it's been a crazy ride.
Yeah. I mean, for both of you,
surviving is like huge because
Yes.
you hold
Yeah.
so much, and it's like, to me, there was so much growing up, at least for me, when he would say things like "you're garbage." In my head, I knew I couldn't speak up, but I'd be like, "Oh yeah, watch. You just watch this garbage rise." And I feel like with you too, Aaron, like, he would have ended your life. He could have. And instead, look at, you have a family now, and you are nothing like him. That is
No.
such a huge celebration and so anti anything he was about.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and in a way, it's helped me be a better father, knowing what not to do.
I hear you. I had a similar experience. I mean, not to the degree that you guys had, but my father, when I was younger, I don't think he really knew how to be a father, and he had some rage issues and didn't know how to deal with them. But I mean, it's like you're breaking the cycle, like I did. Like my father had a problem with alcohol. I don't drink. I have 2 kids that I raised. I never laid a hand on them at all. Because when you're on the receiving end of that, you understand what it's like. So I can relate to that in that respect to you guys. But it's just it takes a lot of mental stability and strength to overcome that. Because I've had friends that I grew up with that had similar situations, and they weren't so successful at it, and they got involved with a lot of drugs and alcohol after high school and college, and they didn't really get to the point where they could focus on themselves they were still, I had to actually move across the country to kind of get away after a while. I left the house at 18 to go to college, came home for a little bit. Then I moved to the West Coast because I knew him and I loved my father. He had a lot of good traits, but at the same point early on, it was tough, but I knew I had to kind of mentally kill him off in my head in order to survive and become and grow, because he taught me a lot of good things, but he also taught me a lot of bad things, but those were valuable lessons as well.
But Aaron, you did the same thing.
I was going to say, you did what you went through. There's no comparison to any kind of thing. I don't think when you have a parent who's been murdered by your other parent, it's horrifying. And the fact that you were able to rise up, but both of you, like I said, it's a testament to your spirits. And also to the fact that you weren't going to let him take you down. You're like, I'm separating myself, like divorcing yourself from him. And that's him. That's what he did. That doesn't have to reflect on you. And that's an inspiration to other people who have been in that position, who are in that position, just to know that you can get through it no matter how hard it really is and how painful. If you get the right people around you and ask for help, you can. So Aaron, after high school, what did you end up doing?
Well, at 17, on that birthday that he had his hands around my neck, that was the last day I lived with him. So I was on my own from the day I turned 17 on. I ended up getting emancipated, getting a job, getting an apartment. It didn't take me too long from that day to get my own apartment. I stayed with some friends here and there, was at 3 or 4 different places, and then was able to get my own apartment by, I think, right around when I turned 18. I don't recall exactly when it was.
Which is amazing in itself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And just was on my own and did what I had to do, it wasn't always easy, but I had some support and some friends that would help me out, and having a roommate help you pay for things is always makes things a lot easier. And ultimately, I was a drinker, whether I was old enough to or not, and I did some drugs and did some partying. I never really got into any hard drugs. I didn't really care for anything. I tried a bunch of them, but ultimately, kind of like you did, I had to move to Florida to get away from it all, to kind of not have all that influence around me, and try to get myself to be a better person. And pretty much from the time I knew I was having a kid, at first, I kind of not completely gave up drinking, but I stopped going to bars and stuff, and that has stuck. I don't go to bars and don't drink very much at all anymore, and the drugs are a thing of the past, and just it's better this way.
Yep.
Well, and Aaron, think about, so you were under his influence when he was around, and he chose to rob cars, break into homes, do all of this awful criminal stuff, and that was your role model. That was what you were under. And drugs, partying, you're not hurting people. Like, bad choice because it's illegal, but you're not harming someone else. That was what you were subjected to the majority of your life, and you made the choice to be different and to be better. That's to be celebrated.
Absolutely. Everybody parties or has to go through their phase, whether it's in junior high school, or college, or after college. I mean, everybody has to find their way. You can't beat yourself up about that. Like Alison said, like, you didn't have a role model. Your role model was doing really bad things. And the loss of your mother at such a young age, and then having him hold that over your head. I mean, it's just, it's unbelievable that that can happen. But I think that Alison's fight and your resilience, Aaron, and your ability to just get past all of that pain and suffering is amazing. Both of you, you're both amazing. And I think such an inspiration to other people, like I said before, who could have gone through something tragic like this. So now that he confessed, Aaron, how do you feel about that? Like, how does that feel for you? Is it like freedom for you, or how does that feel?
It's a little bit of a relief. It could have happened sooner. There's people that have since passed that would really have liked to have known before they passed away what really happened, and have some of these answers, and have him face consequences. His life is just about over. I don't know how much longer he's got on this earth, but he sure had all this time as a free man when he should have been behind bars the rest of his life, starting 40 some years ago. And he knew how to use his deafness as a way to get away with things. I think he did it his whole life. He would get pity and leniency because he was deaf, and I think he counted on it and used it.
Yeah. Did you learn? Do you know how to sign language too, just like your sister?
She's probably, she was pretty much always better at it than me. And I haven't used it in, almost 30 years or so now. So, really rusty, but I could probably, do okay with it.
Yeah. Is that how so were you the communication guy for your father a lot after Alison left?
Oh yeah. I had to do a lot of interpreting for him, but he wasn't completely deaf. He could hear a little bit, if he could hear a man's voice, a deeper voice, better than a woman's voice, a higher pitched voice. But I think he could hear better than he led people to believe. And his speech was better than an average deaf person would be. So he could communicate, but he absolutely
Aaron,
used us to do his talking for him.
Aaron, I just giggled when you said that, because I remember being in the car and I was like taunting you, and I was like, ass, or like I was saying swear words, and you're a shit or something like that. And he backhanded me, and I was like, I wasn't even looking at him. Like, he couldn't read my lips. I had my head turned, thinking I was being all slick. And that was when I was like, oh, he hears a lot more than he admits to.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And he had hearing aids, but he never wore them. So how well he can truly hear is probably his little secret. Or so he thinks.
He used that to get pity from people, I would imagine.
Yeah, and to eavesdrop maybe, when people are talking and they think there's a deaf person so they can't hear, I honestly think he used that to hear things that people don't think he could hear.
He was just such a mind twister. It makes me think of, so Aaron was in middle school, high school maybe, and my father was beating on him. And this is the whole court thing, Aaron, the restraining order.
Oh, yeah.
So why don't you tell it? Because you know more the details of that.
Well, it was a sleeping bag that had caught on, that had started smoldering, and I don't know how much of, the sleeping bag was still like 90% intact, but I was smoking in the closet in the apartment, and I thought I heard him coming home, and I put the cigarette out, or so I thought, and through it, and it wasn't out all the way. So it started smoldering. He came home and smelled it and, got it out of there. And that was his basis for taking me to court to get a restraining order against me. So after the birthday, 17, when I turned 17 and he strangled me and I was gone, after that, he brought that back up. And that was what made the judge grant this restraining order that he put on me.
Didn't it turn out to be a joint restraining order?
No, I never filed to have it go both ways. But I probably should have, and I had more basis to keep him away from me than he had against me. Sure. But that was, he always threatened me throughout my entire life that he would get me in trouble with the cops. He would have me arrested. He would put me in a juvenile home or home for boys or, something like that. So this was his way of saying, see, I told you.
Yeah. And, how old were you at the time?
I was 17 when I had a restraining order put on me, and I wasn't allowed within 500 feet of where he lived and had to stay away from him and no contact and all this. And it was just a joke, just an absolute
17-year-old, a minor.
Yeah.
They actually did you a favor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. It wasn't like I wanted to be around him or anything, but it was just, I couldn't believe that the judge fell for it. And again, this could be another case of him using his handicap, his deafness to get what he wants. Cause it could be that if he was a hearing normal person, the judge might have just thrown it out and been like, he started a fire on accident. He wasn't trying to burn you and burn the house down or anything. It was an accident. Accidents happen. Yeah, I shouldn't have been smoking in the house, and I was careless, and but there was no intent at all whatsoever there. And the judge maybe somehow saw it differently, or I don't know.
I think you're right. I think he was using his deafness to get pity, or that he, couldn't possibly, be this evil monger that, everybody was making him out to be. I think that it's shocking that a judge would have done that after he strangled you.
Well, that I don't think it came up.
I wouldn't think it came up. Yeah.
And even if it did, it might not have really been allowed. It wasn't about what he did to me. It was what I did to him to deserve him to be granted a protection from abuse, which is just ridiculous. And that's what it was called, a PFA, protection from abuse, because I was abusing him.
Gaslighting.
Yeah.
The nth extreme.
I got a question for both. I got a question for both of you. And Alison, you can go first, and Aaron, you can go second. So, all right. So now we've learned that, he strangled your mom to death. Left her in a dumpster in the snow behind the convenience store. He strangled you, Aaron.
Yes.
And probably, you said it yourself that, if Marie wasn't there, you don't know what would have happened at that point. He strangled or attempted to strangle Marie while he was strangling you. So do you think there's any other victims out there
I'm positive, because when I went to the Deaf Club, before I wrote my book because I wanted to hear from them. And, for both purposes. I wanted to learn more about my mother. I wanted to learn about their experiences with him. And when I spoke, I gave them a piece of paper and passed out pens. And I said, if there's anything you want to share with me, but you don't want to share publicly, I'm going to pass this out. If you want to write something to me while I'm talking, in the end, I'll collect them all. And I had like this locked box so they could feel safe about putting it in there and nobody was going to see it. And I had a woman tell me that like this whole story, like she said, I want to talk to you, and tells me, I don't want to say her name because I don't want to put her in a bad place, but She told me that he strangled her at the deaf club when she questioned him about my mother. She said that she said to my father, because she was friends with my mother, she said to him, I think you did it. I think you did it. And he strangled her right there in the club. And I guess for a period of time he was banned and he wasn't allowed to come back because of that. But he came back eventually. I mean, sure it was only a couple months, but there were several people just in my journey and my research and trying to learn more that came to me and said that he hit them, he pushed them, he strangled them, including the girlfriend that he just recently went to jail for strangling.
Wow. Aaron, what about you? What do you think?
I didn't really see any other than what was already, just discussed. I do know there was an incident where somebody wasn't afraid of him, and he did not fight back, and he cowered down and he called the police. There was a incident when we lived on, I believe it was 8th Street in Erie, which you remember that, Allison, right?
Yeah.
That apartment.
Yeah.
Remember the man who lived downstairs?
Yeah.
He was a tall black guy.
Do. And he was like sticking up for us.
Well, one time I was locked out and I was trying to put a stick through the mail slot and hit the lock, and the stick broke and it fell down. And my father, he always had these conspiracies in his head. For some reason, thought that it was the downstairs neighbor trying to break in. So he went and confronted him, and here's this guy yelling at you, and he had no clue why, because it was me that did the stick thing, not him. And he probably couldn't really understand everything he was doing, especially if he was angry and yelling. So he ended up punching my dad with, I guess, a key between his fingers.
Yep.
He had a closed fist with a key sticking out, and he punched my dad in the ear. Ooh. And it made him bleed, and there was, drops of blood on the floor and everything. And he backed down and hightailed it out of there. So he had no problem, with being violent with people as long as they were smaller or a woman or something like that. But when somebody,
and he's a big guy, so it's not usual that he'd find someone bigger.
Yeah. But that guy wasn't having it. And, my dad's size didn't matter at that time. And he hightailed it out of there. So he can sure dish it out, but somebody ain't afraid of him, then it's a different story.
That's so funny that you say that, because in my book, I talked about the moment that I was like, I'm done with you. Like, I'm just done. And you and I were fighting over the remote control. And I was mad because I didn't want to watch wrestling or whatever dumb stuff was on that I didn't like. And I remember him coming in and yelling at me because I was fighting with you, blah, blah, blah. And he like shoved me, like 2-hand shove into the like lazy boy recliner. And I don't know what came over me, but I literally rocked back in the chair and used the momentum to pop right back up in his face. And I'm like, are you going to hit me? Go ahead. You'll go to jail. And I'm like, I don't know where the hell that came from, because that is not something I would have done. But he said, you'll be sorry. You'll be sorry. You're going to have no mother and no father. And he walked away. And I'm like, oh, Lord.
That might have been why he got rid of you.
It is totally why he did.
Because he knew you weren't afraid of him anymore, so you had to go.
Yep.
That's the thing. People like that prey on the weak, the vulnerable, children, women. They're bullies. They're just bullies, And if you fight back, you push back, you punch back, they shut up. So, Aaron, it's been so lovely to talk to you. We've heard so many things, wonderful things about you from your sister, and we just our hearts go to you. We think you're an amazing person for what you've been through, and so happy that you were able to share your story with us. And Alison, of course, you're our shining light here, guiding us through this whole process.
Yeah, I know it probably wasn't easy. I mean, because talking about your past, especially a tragic one like this, and just not knowing what's going on, as a kid, not even be able to remember your wonderful mother, that's got to be tough.
So what comes to mind right now is I feel like the image that I have in this moment is of me being up front, and like you just said, that I'm like a shining light. And I feel like it's me being up front and my brother like right behind me. Like he has been a shadow, but he isn't the shadow or a shadow. It's like we have been so connected that, like, I want you to know that, Aaron, like, I have the mouth, but you are very much a part of every part of this journey. Me making the actions doesn't take away from all that you have become in spite of what you've lived.
Amen.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And to anyone else who has suffered in any way like this, we'll put some resources in the show notes, but just like Alison, and Aaron, you just keep going. You just keep fighting. You don't let circumstances take you down. It's amazing.
And it's going to be, I'm curious what it's going to be like for both of you when your father gets his day in court and justice will be served.
Cannot wait.
Yeah. And from this, I've learned that there's so many others that are not in exact same situations, but there's so many other people that they don't know what happened to their loved ones. And it was shocking to know how many missing people there are out there, and how many unsolved mysteries there are out there. And it's great that there's people like you that are out there helping these people. And well, I thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story, Aaron. Okay.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
Monday AI agents took over my work, and I absolutely love it. Chasing deadlines, writing status reports, updating stakeholders. Agents handle the daily grind now. They live inside Monday.com, so they see the full picture. My work, my team, the whole company. And I don't have to worry about the data. It's safe, which means I'm free to focus on the big stuff, knowing everything runs smoothly in the background. It's completely shifted the way we work. Create your own AI agent in minutes on Monday.com.